I'm seeing double. 4 Krusties! From Jakks Pacific and their new Simpsons line, I have the 5-inch Krusty and the 2.5-inch Krusty. Why do I have 2 Krusties? Funnily enough, that one's a Christmas gift, that one's a birthday gift. For anyone who doesn't know, because I feel like I don't get to mention it that often, The Simpsons is one of my favorite shows ever, and I actually have a decent Simpsons collection. Unfortunately, a lot of it's in storage right now, but I love the World of Springfield line. It's one of my favorite toy lines ever, and I was going to resist going into the Jakks Pacific Simpsons toys. I think they're better toys. They're definitely better action figures. But I figured I have a lot of these characters, I'm happy with them. And then people conspired against me. I got the Homer and a few of the toys when I first saw them because I wanted to do the big video for Wave 1, including the Talking Krusty, which I'm going to pull out to compare with these guys in a bit. But then, Christmas comes around, and my little sister, who I love very much, they gave me this little Krusty. Because they know Krusty is my favorite Simpsons character. Which they are. Lionel Hutz and Krusty the Clown. Those are my 2 favorite Simpsons characters. And then I got the 5-inch one for my birthday. So, now I'm all in on the line. I have almost all the 5-inch guys because I'm a psycho like that. But I am happy because they look like good toys. And Krusty especially looks great. So I can't wait to look at these 2 bozos and see which one owns Fat Tony more money. Just looking at the boxes real quick, I like how the 2.5-inch figures are packaged. I don't know, it just looks very cute to me. But you got Krusty there, close up the toy there, and then who could you get in this way? That is a good wave! Huh. So you could get Sideshow Bob, Bart with a slingshot, and then Itchy and Scratchy. Itchy and Scratchy, by the way, I think would be in scale with the 5-inch guys. I need to... I hate that I know about them now. Because now I gotta track down Itchy and Scratchy. Because they fight. Fight. Itchy and Scratchy show. What the hell was that? Well, that wasn't Worker and Parasite. This is bad. I'm sorry. I'm wasting your time. Here's the 5-inch Krusty. He looks really, really nice. I love the boxes here. I do. They're very poppy. I like them. Another close-up of the toy. I do prefer this one. Not the head sculpt, but just like how much of the box that covers up. That seems very sunken down. Great pose on the back. And then this wave is very weird. You had a re-release of Homer. Lisa, which is great. I have that Lisa. I need Moe! Because he's another one of my faves. And then here, you just got Lisa and Homer. Alright, I think that's everything. Let me get the Talking Krusty. Here they are alongside the Talking Krusty doll, which is one of the best things I own, and I'm never taking it out of the box, but, yeah, I have all 3 of the Jakks Pacific Krusties, and if they do another Krusty, I'll probably do that one too. Then again, what Krusties could you do? I guess you could do Krusty gets busted, like, prison uniform Krusty? You could also do his sailor disguise. Yeah, there's a couple of Krusties you could still do. You could do Homie the Clown, which I don't know if that counts more as a Krusty or a Homer. But, you know, I still like the pull string here, and I like the fact that you can, That's nice. You see, I'm glad to know that Krusty loves me. Alright, let's actually open these things up. Taking a closer look at these 2, and I do like them. I think they have some problems, but overall, I'm enjoying them. Considering that the only toys from this line I've opened up so far are Homer and Krusty, they're very similar. We're going to talk more about that in a second. So I'm basically playing with the same toy with a different costume, but I think that's a little bit too accurate. Again, we're going to cover it all, but let's look at the tiny guy before looking at his big papa. Tiny Krusty is really nice. The painting and sculpting are incredible. Really reminds me of the cool, like, 2.5-inch Nintendo figures that Jakks does. Articulation is very simple. You have a swivel here at the head, universal at the shoulder. You can get a couple of good expressions out of him that way. You have nothing in the waist, but you can get him to sit down, which is great because they did make a couch and a living room playset. Krusty overall is good. He's a tiny, tiny toy, but he's also going for $5, and I think that for $5, you're getting a pretty solid toy, especially in the paint department. There's just one issue. Look at his head. Look at that beautiful, beautiful Krusty head. He looks a little bit too much like Homer. I know that sounds weird, but it is a problem that you run into with a lot of Krusties. Playmates Krusty was very similar. They never sculpt in the bags under his eyes. And I know that sounds like such a weird thing, but Believe it or not, Krusty and Homer have exactly 3 things that make them different in terms of silhouette and face design. Krusty has bags, and the nose, and the hair. That's it. And then in Homie the Clown, that's the whole running gag, is the fact that Homer in Krusty makeup looks identical. The only way you can tell them apart is Homer doesn't have the top tuft of hair, the nose is painted red as opposed to being that red ball shape, and he doesn't have the bags. So when you have a Krusty without the bags, he just looks like Homer. 5-inch Krusty is very similar. He's still a great toy. I'm still so happy to have him. But I can't help but feel like I'm actually messing with Homie the Clown, not Krusty the Clown. Articulation's a complete treat, way better than the World of Springfield. You have a swivel at the head, universal at the shoulder that gives you a lot of range, a swivel at the upper arm, a good single joint elbow that gives you just a little under the 90, universal here at the wrist. You have a swivel at the waist, which is really nicely hidden by his tummy. You have a good universal, or rather a ball joint down here at the hip. A really deep single knee that is kind of hard to use sometimes, but there you go. And then you got the big feet with the very cool swivel. There's actually a universal in there for the ankle. A thing I do like is that they remembered Krusty's big shoes. I feel like a lot of people think that Sideshow Bob is the only one with the big feet. Krusty actually doesn't have big feet. He just has the big shoes, because he doesn't have that same issue. Krusty's issue is that ain't makeup. Getting my 5-inch Homer in here, do you see what I mean now? The sculpts are too similar. Even their muzzles are too similar. I think the way you could have gone around this, even if you can't do the bags under the eyes. Let me fix my lighting just a little bit. There we go. Even if you can't do the bags under the eyes, what you could do is just open Krusty's mouth. Because when I think of Krusty, I don't think of him with a closed smile. I think of him with his big, goofy smile and all the teeth showing. Again, that's what the World of Springfield Krusty did. But when you keep him with just this smaller, closed smile, this more subdued face, he looks too much like Homer. It feels like they made a really good Homie the Clown, and a so-so Krusty the Clown. But this also can't be Homie the Clown because he has the tuft and he has the nose. I'm being so pedantic right now. I'm sorry. These are nitpicks upon nitpicks. I sound like the comic book guy right now. But Krusty is my favorite. My favorite Simpsons characters are Krusty the Clown and Lionel Hutz, and they're never making Lionel Hutz. So I kind of feel like if you don't knock Krusty out of the ballpark, that means like, okay, I can get other characters I like, but my favorites are always going to be just a little bit weak. At least Krusty comes with a good accessory. He comes with a mic stand and a removable microphone. It fits very snugly into either hand, and you can get him into some good poses with it. Krusty uses a microphone a lot. Whenever I think of Krusty dressed like this with a microphone, I think of the Krusty Comedy Classic. You know, the one that each word began with a K, and he ran out and only realized then and there that his comedy show was called the KKK. Overall, I am a little bit disappointed in my Krustys. They just feel too much like Homer. And I keep saying that. Why do Krusty and Homer look similar? And I don't know if many people know this. It's because they were meant to be the same character at first. When Matt Groening was originally doing The Simpsons, the idea was Homer, he was going to be Krusty. That was his job. And the joke was going to be that Bart hated his dad and idolized Krusty, but could never know that his dad and his idol were the same person. Obviously, that is not at all what The Simpsons is now, and thank God for it, because Krusty is incredible, and Homer is also incredible, and they're incredible for different reasons, and I don't want them to be together. I feel like The Simpsons would have been so much more gimmicky and kind of hacky if Homer and Krusty were still the same character. But that does mean that they're always going to have similar designs. And that's not a problem. I'm okay with Homer and Krusty looking similar, especially when they made good episodes with that idea. And also, Homer definitely killed Mr. Burns, or tried to at least, while dressed as Krusty the Clown. I'm just saying. So, why am I not digging this? It's because Jakks forgot the parts that make Krusty unique from Homer. If this Krusty had the bags under his eyes, I think it would have been better. If he had an open mouth and his toothy grin showing, I think it would have been better. If they had just done one of those two things, or in a perfect world, both of those things, this Krusty would have been perfect. As is, he's good. Which is a shame, because this is my favorite Homer of all time. This is one of my favorite toys of all time now. He's a constant presence in my collection. I'm constantly moving him around. He's so much fun. And I got Krusty because I thought he could be the same. But instead, I have a Homer I adore, and a Krusty I can tolerate.